Welcome. Thanks for joining us today. We are here for MetaTr 4. My name is Evo Heyning. I will be your host and guide from all of us across the metaverse and XR communities. Thank you for joining us for a conversation about alignments and agreements. I want to thank you for being a part of this journey with us. Now, obviously, as we are talking about something that is so nascent and is still in this formation stage, we're talking about not just the metaverse today, but how the metaverse connects, specifically how we move between spaces, worlds, experiences, and especially the collaboration that happens between independent groups, between companies, between associations and organizations all over the world. So we thank you for helping to create what is a collaborative framework. The metaverse is our collective. It is the shared space that we are building together. Now, this is a participatory concept, and this is a participatory event. So in our last 3 MetaTr events, we have seen tremendous presentations from all sorts of R&D leaders, platform holders, folks who are working on standards, but also people who are working on the portals and ways that we move between worlds. Today, we're going to bring more of that conversation together in 2 panels and a fantastic keynote from Tony Parisi. And specifically, we'd like to look at how we come together, how we decide to make agreements to work together, how we align around standards and the extensions of standards. And specifically, we would love to open the doors to collaboration, to participation. So in our previous MetaTr events, we've discussed, for example, IEEE and the spatial web with Gabe and the immersive web. And now we're going to today look with Chronos and the GLTF extensions to see how we can begin to share not just our art, but programmable, collective, and creative assets and experiences that we are building together. So I want to welcome a number of you who are coming up to share. We also welcome your comments. That can happen through AWE Live, but especially as well on YouTube. So we are going to encourage your comments and questions today. Please feel free to participate in any way that makes sense for you. Now, obviously, we are human beings first. The first 3 MetaTr events, we have tried to center this work in our humanness and in making sure that we see each other for our amazingness, for our diversity, for our different ideas, and how they can potentially dance together in what is a common space. How we choose to share is a big part of these agreements. That includes our data sharing, but that also includes infrastructure. That includes how we come to the table to collaborate. So we're going to look at a number of key use cases today, not just the R&D, which is absolutely fantastic, but the productions and the projects that have also been coming from this research and development. We have a number of panels today, including Amy Peck, who will be joining us with Rika, Maria, Nico, and Cynthia, amazing leaders, each in their own right, also representing amazing companies doing work in this space. We're going to hear from the XR women and specifically their use cases for interoperability on events, for being able to move together effectively, and for building collaboration. And we're going to hear from a technical panel, including Neil Trevitt at Chronos Group, Robert Long, and Trevor Flowers, as well as Sophia Moshasha. And I'm going to welcome JulieSmithson at this point to join us, as well as
Hi,
our
Evo.
next stage of sense making. Hi, Julie. It's great to see you. So Julie has been a fantastic partner and collaborator in the sense making process and in helping us figure out how do we see each other effectively, how do we put our ideas together, and then how do we begin to make that move from ideation into collaboration or production or active experimentation. So Julie, I would love it if you could share just a little bit of the sense-making work you've been doing. And I know that we're going to bring up a different graphic here because we have a we have some screen sharing as well that I wanted to be able to try and share for folks. So if you want to go ahead and share your screen, and we'll go ahead and bring that in. Yes.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So yeah, we've been on a little bit of a journey in the past couple of months, where we came from, and some great conversations about, what is everybody thinking about? What is everybody, when it comes to interoperability, what are the things that we need to think about when we're in a virtual space? And a couple months ago, when we first started MetaTr versal 1 and 2 and 3, we came up and identified some of the important pieces that were important to the conversations, things that everybody kept saying and talking about. And I think being in the space myself, I can identify with all of the things that will be touch points as our identities start to interact within these different worlds. So we identified a couple of different categories that we're going to start to really kind of drive into. What are the conversations around interoperability? And then we can grow into the standards. There obviously needs to be some further definitions made on all of these things, and that's really a starting point. So the marketplace, let's start with avatars. Actually start with avatars. As we start to move into these spaces, we have our identities. We're creating avatars that either look like us or similar to us, and we start to own that, and that becomes part of who we are. So we need conversations about avatars and how they transform. And I'll show you in a couple of minutes an example of something that took place a couple of weeks ago that will show the transformation of one avatar from one world into another platform. The marketplace is certainly another huge conversation that we need to have as people start to purchase and buy things in these virtual spaces, whether it be a digital good or a real good, or it's NFTs. The conversation of NFTs has only just begun. It's strong right now, and we need to keep those conversations going. And as we start to traverse between these worlds, what you buy in one world, will it pass through into that other world? And there were great conversations in the last sessions about, possibly having a backpack that you carry your digital good items that could traverse between worlds. That's a huge piece of how the experience economy is going to take shape and form. Portals, UX, UI design, that's a huge conversation too on, what is the definition of a portal? I don't think we have actually clarified that. And sometimes portals just go between the platform itself, but now we're talking about portals that may go from one platform all the way into another platform. So the definitions here are really going to be, crucial for our industry to define. And that's why we're here today. The ethical piece, certainly the first part about the avatar system and the mental agency around owning your avatar and who you are, taking that humanity first approach. I like to use the term humanics quite a bit because there's 3 components to that term. And the first is being human first, being able to have conversations with other people and staying true to who you are. And then the other 2 components of humanics is understanding that technology that is taking place within your identity in this space, and also how that technology is being used. So humanics are certainly important when it comes to understanding the ethics and having that mental agency. And then, conversations around that, come to privacy and security around, who can see where you are in these worlds at certain times. For example, do my friends always know where I am? Or can people look up and see which world I'm in? those types of conversations need to be had. And then, of course, there's the engineering side of things, and these are discussions that I'm going to save for my more technical friends, and how we get deeper into the layers of frameworks and working with the Kronos Group and W3C to make sure that we're all on the same page. And my role here today, I hope I can contribute back again by listening to all of the presentations that we have coming up. And talking about how do you enter into these virtual worlds? How do you enter in and become part of communities, and you start to make transactions and really remain interoperable in between all of these different worlds. And hopefully today we'll have some more information being presented by all of these different and great speakers that can really start to drive into some of these focuses. So I'm really excited to be here, and thank you so much, Evo, for allowing me to create a little bit of some sense making to where we've come from and where we are today.
Thank you so much, Julie.